Okay, so I want to take a minute and talk about how to simplify a square root if it is not a perfect square root. So in other words, if it's not like 4, 9, whatever. How do I do that? Well, the easiest way is to break it apart. And if you can look at 48 or think of 48 and say, what perfect square goes into 48? So that's what I'm asking myself, is what perfect square is in, or is a factor, let's use that word, factor of 48. And so you could start thinking to yourself, well, I know 6 and 8 make 48, okay, but neither one of those are perfect squares. So maybe I do 4 and 12, neither one of those are perfect squares. And you could keep thinking, and hopefully you could come up with 3 and 16, okay, 3 and 16. And so I usually try to put my perfect square first, and then my other number second. And then I can go ahead and take the perfect square of 16, or the square of 16, square root of, and then the 3 is not a perfect square, it stays. And so the square root of 48 is actually 4 square root of 3. Now, some of you might not could come up with that number in your head, okay? It's the 16. So if you can't do that, let me show you how else you would do that. We would start with what I just said earlier and do a prime factorization. So I know 6 and 8. I'm going to prime factor it into 2 and 3, and then 2 and 4. And then I know 4 is 2 and 2. So what I actually write is all of this out. Now I would write it, put them in order together. So 2, just like what you did in the lower grades. So I have 4 2s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 3. Okay, that is now prime. And here's the thing about it, guys. If we're looking for the square root, I need 2 2s, right? Because again, remember, r squared is the square root if r squared is that number. So in this case, this is 2 squared and 2 squared, and so, and 3, if you want to think of it that way. And so the square root of 2 squared, again, is just 2 and 2, and then the square root of 3 is left. Or I think of it as I take out a 2, just a single 2. So when it comes out as a 2. Okay? Again, I'm left with now 4 square root of 3. Okay? Now that's by using the prime factorization method. I think it's very long. I think it's just easier to think of a perfect square that is in the number. Now that's just me. And we can talk about and do more of those definitely in class. Okay, so the same thing. I'm going to look at 75, and I want a perfect square in 75. Well, hopefully that one you can do pretty easy in your head. 25 and 3. So the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 3 stays. Okay? Next one. Square root of 9, that I can do. It's a 3. Square root, now this is 3 times the square root of 27. So I'm going to break the square root of 27 down. Okay? And that's 3 and 9. Okay? I'm going to flip those around, just like I was doing earlier, the way I have it the same. So, whoops. So 9 and 3. So the square root of 9 is 3. I have the 3 out in front. The square root of 9 is 3. And I have the square root of 3 that's left. Okay, so make sure you got everything in there. So this goes with this goes with this goes with that. Okay, and so I'm left with 3 times 3 times 3. That's 27 square root of 3. Okay, final answer there. Okay, let's see what else we have. Nope, that's it. On examples. So hopefully that makes sense to you. You'll try a couple.